Welcome to our session. We're excited to share our work on creating a library of adaptable activities for use in a variety of engineering courses. I'm Jill Schmidt from the Department of Mechanical and Aerospace Engineering at Missouri University of Science and Technology, and with me is my colleague Nick Libre from the Department of Civil, Architectural, and Environmental Engineering. Our motivation for this work comes from the challenges both new and veteran faculty face implementing active learning strategies in the classroom. While considerable research has shown the benefit of active learning approaches, many instructors are hesitant to implement these strategies. Reasons for this hesitation include the time and effort required to design a successful activity and deploy it in the classroom, and the concern that their activity may not be effective or well received by students. The goal of this work is to create a library of active learning activities that can be adapted by other instructors across campus. By starting with a tested activity, instructors can save time and be more efficient and confident in their use of active learning techniques. Work on this library is ongoing, but to give a brief overview of where we're at, Nick began this work several years ago developing and testing a platform for these activities in his engineering mechanics course. These activities were refined over the course of 4 semesters, and we are just now at the point of sharing and testing these activities in additional course contexts. This past academic year, I adapted activities from the library for use in my junior level aerodynamics course. To show you how this works, Nick will demonstrate an active learning activity and share how these were used in our courses.
Let's create an active learning activity together. Different types of questions could be used for creating an active learning activity. Here, for simplicity, I'm going to choose some questions that are already available on a database. In total, there are more than 700 questions that are ordered based on different topics. I'm going to combine 2 conceptual questions and 1 numerical questions in order to make an active learning activity. The idea is combining different questions with various difficulty level in order to challenge students, but not make them disappointed. Active learning activities are typically considered as a formative assessment, and as such, it's good to consider some bonus points in order to motivate students to do the activity without putting them under pressure of losing any grades while they are learning the concept. To start the activity, I'm going to go to the Activity tab and pick the activity that we just created, and then set the required settings, such as quiz duration, the number of groups that students can join to. Also, we can set when students would be able to see the answers, and also if you want to give them the solution in details after they submitted the answer. Once the activity is open, students can join in using their own device. For demonstration, I'm going to join this activity that we just created using a cell phone and laptop. We need to enter a PIN code to join in, and then pick the team that could be assigned by the instructor, or students could pick the teams themselves. While students are joining, the instructor is able to see how many have joined as shown on the left panel, and also which team they have joined to. The left panel shows the instructor view of the activity, and the right 2 panels are representing 2 students who joined the activity using a laptop and a cell phone. On the left panel, on instructor view, the instructor is able to see the progress of each group, look into the data analytics, also change the settings on the fly if it's needed. Let's answer some questions here. In the first question, the right answer is C. I'm going to pick the right answer for the first student. And the blue car that represents team number 1 has moved, showing the progress on that team. For the second student, let's go and pick the wrong option, and the car is not moving. The competition aspect of this activity is very motivating for some students. When they are working in a group, they not only need to answer their own question, but also they need to reach out to their teammate in order to help them and increase the average of their team. Another important aspect of active learning activity is receiving feedback when students need it, whether it comes from their peers in the class, it comes from the instructor, or it's provided by the platform. The implemented active learning activity promotes interactions and collaborations among students. Also, the platform allows instructors to provide students with instantaneous feedback when the activity is over. Getting back to the sample activity that we have created, the first 2 questions are conceptual. All the students get the same question, and the only difference would be the shuffled options. But the last question is a numerical question with randomly generated parameters, meaning that students have the same concept, but each has its own number. They can share the way how to solve the problem, but they cannot share what is the final answer. One benefit of using this platform to manage the active learning activities is to provide students with instantaneous feedback based on the numbers that they had in their own problem. So the solution is given to students with the randomly generated numbers that they had in the questions, so they can compare their own solution with the right solution and track down the mistakes and learn from them. Another advantage for the instructors would be the ability to look into the data analytics in order to identify the areas that students are struggling with, so they can focus on those areas and use the class time more efficiently. Now let's look into some real-world applications of active learning activities in classrooms and its impact on the students' learning outcomes.
So we did different types of activities in the class today. The main one was asking students to do a sort of quiz with instantaneous feedback so they can see the results right away after they submit it. And the reason for doing this activity is making them curious about what is the answer of this problem.
So the third question, if it would say, what's the maximum shear stress in the flange at the intersection?
So after doing the activity, as you saw, we tried to address the issues that students typically have. And from my experience, I found that if they come to class with questions, they understand it much better than me just talking about what is the solution of the problem.
This is the first time we've tried a flipped classroom with this class, where I've asked the students to read up on information ahead of time and take some notes before coming to class. We do other active learning strategies in this class, like quizzes and group problem work as well, but this is the first time I've asked them to read the material. I didn't give a lecture on it, but then they're going to apply it in problems in groups.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sorry.
Okay, so this is X.
Today, the students are working on activities related to Bernoulli's equation, which is a topic that they've probably been exposed to in previous classes, but just need a refresher on how to apply it in specific situations. So yeah, I think it really gets students excited about the material a little bit more. They get to work through it, and rather than just see me do the problem and think, oh yeah, I definitely understand, they get to see right away where they get stuck and ask me when they're having trouble with it, rather than going home and realizing they don't understand it and then having to struggle through that homework problem. So I really like it to engage the students, and everyone's active and awake. I don't see anyone sleeping today, so that's always great. Now that you've seen what these activities look like and how they can be implemented in the classroom, we'll talk a little bit about our results using these activities in both engineering mechanics and aerodynamics courses. These strategies have been implemented over the course of 5 semesters. The first 4 semesters, Nick implemented and refined his active learning activities in the sophomore level engineering mechanics course. You can see from the table that he tried out several different strategies for course format. In the 5th semester, I implemented 5 activities from this library in my junior level aerodynamics course for the first time. This was a first attempt to adapt these activities to a new course. We'll briefly look at some key results for first the engineering mechanics course, and then the first implementation of these strategies in the aerodynamics course as well. As expected based on prior literature, incorporation of active learning strategies appeared to improve the performance of engineering mechanics students compared to their peers in sections without active learning. In addition, student feedback was largely positive and improved as these techniques were refined. Students felt that these activities were effective at facilitating student-to-student interaction, and the activities were well integrated into the course. Although more data must be collected for aerodynamics, the initial results were promising. One benefit to sharing similar activities across campus was that many students in aerodynamics had already taken the engineering mechanics course and thus were familiar with the activities. This made implementation of activities in this course very smooth. The active learning activities were elective in this course, but students who chose to complete the activity outscored their peers who did not on the 5 topics covered in the active learning days. On average, student feedback on the activities was positive, and students indicated that they would like to do these activities for additional course topics, supporting our desire to share these activities to the broader campus and community. Work is ongoing to develop additional activities, particularly those that support student-to-student interaction and the learning by doing and learning by teaching approaches. We are also continuing to evaluate the impact of these activities as we refine them for additional courses and share them more broadly across our campus. Thanks for watching our presentation. If you have any questions or would like to try any of these activities on your own, please don't hesitate to reach out to us via email.